Let's go. Come on. This forever. No surrender. You know, yeah, this right here forever.
Hello and welcome to another edition of MMA Uncaged, episode 7. And time flies when you're having fun. This one brought to you by Ginger Fox Coffee. Check out gingerfoxcoffee.com for more, guaranteed to make you as clever as a fox. Now, it has been a rather interesting week. It's been a busy week for the lads, Justin Ferrier and Garreth Soldier Boy McClellan. But let's just dive into the action. Another fight night at the Apex in Las Vegas. It's the penultimate one before we head to the Fight Island, which is in Abu Dhabi. And a lot of controversy, Garreth, about Curtis Blades and the way he went about his fight against Alexander Volkov. He did say before when he tweeted, he was like, no, he's going to ragdoll him. But it was a boring fight for the spectators. But I suppose for the purist, it ticked a lot of boxes.
Oh, me too. Just can't get it right. Fighters, you can see. Being punched in the head is no good for these boys. Close them down.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story before we move on. I did an Instagram post and I tried to write a story on a specific post, and I ended up writing it on the same guy's page but on another post. It was to Butch James, and I wrote it on his post of him and his daughter, this guy, and then Butch was like, definitely on the post right there, definitely been hit in the head too many times, and you just got to put your hands up and go, I'm sorry right now. Yeah, look, it's such a weird space because you do your job and then it's not good enough. Everybody expects to see this incredible, spectacular knockout, or these amazing guys standing and banging, or this incredible skill set like a Khabib where he's totally dominant, or jiu-jitsu. The thing is, the level of MMA at the UFC is so high, and it's continuously evolving, that I feel we're going to start going back to the boring fights to win.
Because they're being well matched.
Yeah, you're getting in front of guys that are they're on the same level as you. It's an inch. It's a one mistake and the fight changes the direction. So, yeah, maybe a boring fight. A lot of people said GSP was boring to watch as well. Greatest martial artist I think that's ever lived. He's the greatest champion in the UFC. He's done more than anybody could imagine. And now would you tell him that he was boring and it was terrible? You know what I mean? He got in, he won. That's what people wanted to see. I think Blades did exceptionally well in the beginning. A lot of movement, good head movement, good level changes, and he threw some exceptionally good strikes off that. The guy started to slow down. Volkov, exceptional physical shape. He was under the pump for 5 rounds, and if you watch the fight, the last 2 rounds, he actually started to come back, in my opinion. You know, he started to find his range. He started to tag him. He started to stuff the takedowns. A lot of the damage was done in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then on my side, 4 and 5 went to Volkov. So, a bit boring, but if you understand the sport and the technicality behind it, it's kind of, like you said, it's a purist's watch and not a fan's watch.
But boys, let's think about this. Think about how unforgiving heavyweights are. They're expected to move around like middleweights, which they cannot do. They just don't have the lung capacity for it. And people get bummed because anybody can get tagged, but heavyweights, one mistake. Bro, if somebody wants to hit you, they just need 2 knuckles and it's all over Red Rover. So I think from looking at the positives that I can see, I'm surprised that 2 big men lasted 25 minutes.
I think they were so boring we have to move on. They were terrible. They were shocking. They were shocking, but
don't worry about
the job was done.
Look,
you want to talk a real fight? Josh Emmett versus Shane Burgos.
Wow. That was something else, man.
Oh!
And Emmett's no young gun, man. He's been around a long time, some serious power. What a fight. What a fight.
I tell you what, that Burgos took some some right hands like I've never seen in my life.
He ate punches for days.
Head snappers. It's where
Justin-
I'm going to go, no, I'm not.
Readjust this.
Justin,
Readjust this.
what
No,
did
no,
you
no. I don't want
make
to talk about anyone other than heavyweights.
okay, all right.
Crack the
Oh,
fight.
yeah, sorry, we know that you
I don't have an opinion other than
Well,
heavyweights.
Hey, can
You
I
guys give us a bad rap.
can I jump in here and say
Who
Baracino
was the main event? Let's talk about the main event. I mean, that's
Baracino signed his fight with Israel Adesanya,
Oh, yeah, come on.
claiming
Yeah,
he's
baby.
a billionaire. What is going on there? Paulo
Hey?
Costa claiming he's a billionaire in the sport. You can't be a billionaire.
Oh, listen.
well,
Just
he'd
Cristiano
have to be listed.
Let me tell you something that in Brazil, he's a god in Brazil. I mean,
For real?
you can't understand. They developed him. They built him. He was the next big name above
He does look like he's
Nigerians
carved out
and
of
Silvers,
that.
and he was the next big name to come out of Brazil. And the investment behind him is, listen, he could quite potentially be worth a lot of money. Billionaire? Definitely not. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few bar in the bank accounts from his endorsements. Trust me.
And a chance against Stylebender? Does he have a chance? I mean, I know everyone has a chance, but I mean,
Listen, I stood in front of the guy. He's a monster. He's an absolute massive middleweight. Doesn't move like he doesn't struggle in the movement department. He's got a chin that I can promise you. He got hit very hard by Yoel Romario. He got hit very hard by Ryan Hall. So he can take a punch. I don't think that Israel Adesanya is just going to put him away like he has with the last two opponents. And he's forward. He will get in the pocket and he will fight Israel Adesanya. How does Adesanya handle that? How does he? This for me is the game-changing fight for Adesanya. You know, he fights.
Absolutely agree with you, because like I'm not completely sold on Kamaru yet. Like he's doing cool stuff and flashy stuff, and he's riding that forward wave. And a lot of people stop, and we call it watching the movie. You get in there and you're stunned and you're shocked and you're in awe of this person that's doing all this funky stuff, and you're going, and the UFC love that, so they build him up. And he's got the best walkouts and things like that. They set him up to win. But you go, surely, like I'm not 100% sold on it. I think if somebody sits and puts him under pressure, I think he'll crack.
we're talking about
How good is
Kamaru.
How good is Kamaru on his back? I mean,
Yeah, no, fair enough.
yeah, he's got a great scramble, but I mean, what's he going to do when he's got heavy top pressure and somebody pounding him?
Well, that's my question is, how's Adesanya going to respond when he's got Paulo Costa coming forward, throwing bombs? You know, what does he do?
Yeah, listen, I think Adesanya has got an exceptionally, he's got this resume a mile long in terms of his stand-up credentials. I don't think he has fought a guy yet like Baracino, who has incredible knockout power, has speed in his hands, big guy, can take a punch, and who will get into a dogfight with you. He showed you that against Yoel Romario, that he's not afraid. He's not going to back off. And how does Adesanya deal with that? My opinion, I believe this will be either kind of like, okay, Adesanya was good run, or it's going to be, boom, Adesanya has arrived. He can now, people will start talking about him in the same likes of the Joneses, the Jon Jones and Anderson Silva. I mean, those are probably the two elite strikers in
Absolutely.
All right.
And,
Do you think? What's your opinion of Baracino getting the fight in the ladder? So we know it's a good fight. We know it's fairly well matched.
No, he's dead.
What do you think?
100%.
You think he deserves it? Do you think it's not?
100%,
You don't think it's premature?
There's no one else out there. There's no one there to fight him.
Or there's no one available at the moment.
Well, not that. It's just that who else is there? Gastelum lost to Adesanya. Whitaker got knocked out.
Yeah.
Yoel Romario lost to Adesanya. So the next guy's Borrachino. He's ranked number 2 in the world. He's unbeaten. He's scares everybody. I don't care who anybody says. No one's putting their hand up to fight that guy. But he's the guy that puts his hand up and goes, I will fight anybody. Bring him, I will fight him.
All right, gents. Let's bring in a guy you know very well. He's a former UFC champ. He's a WBA Pan African boxing champ. He's made the switch from MMA to boxing. His name is Boyd Allen. Boyd, your thoughts on this matter? Because at this stage, we're a bit divided between Justin and Garreth.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Boyd, what's happening, man?
You guys well?
Yeah, good.
You're strong this side.
Borrachino, again.
Borrachino or Adesanya?
Yeah, what are you thinking? Does he deserve the fight?
I think in his own right, in a way, yeah, but he hasn't really worked his way up the ladder as such. You know, but I mean,
Garreth seems to think he is.
It's definitely going to be a massive test for Adesanya. That guy's an absolute animal.
Yeah, listen, I think also he just poses a different threat. He kicks hard. He got incredible leg power. He's got speed in his legs. He got hand power. He got speed. He's not afraid to get inside and fight you. He's not afraid to stand at range. The funny thing is,
and his cardio, he backs it up with cardio. It's weird. He's still throwing good intensity later on. I mean,
and what you don't realize is he's actually tall. He's 6'3". He doesn't look tall because he's the size of a gorilla, but he's probably the same height as Adesanya. So the range factor is now all of a sudden not in Adesanya's favor.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be way stronger.
Yeah.
I think Israel's got a problem in the clinch.
And
when he gets hands on him, he's in trouble.
And Borrachino is an exceptionally good wrestler, and he has a ridiculous ground game.
It sounds like you guys are backing Borrachino, yeah.
I honestly believe that Borrachino is going to be the next world champion.
Boyd?
I'm not sold on Israel.
No, I think Israel will take him. I think he's going to walk into something, and Israel can set traps. He's really good at that. The biggest challenge is probably his forward pressure. He doesn't stop going forward, and if Adesanya can handle that, then he can win the fight.
So, Boyd, I got a question for you, man. I was funny because I was thinking about it after watching this weekend, and I saw 2 really good boxing displays. One was Layman Good versus I think it's Muhammad Bella Muhammad, and then the Shane Burgos versus Josh Emmett fight as well. Good. We always spoke about this, about the jab and how effective it should be, and how people should use it in MMA. And now we're starting to see its quality because, I mean, in that fight, those guys were destroying each other with their jabs. I know Emmett dropped Burgos with a jab.
Yeah, I think the jab's probably one of the most underutilized punches in MMA, and with those little gloves, you can tear a guy to pieces. And I mean, I really rely on that in my fights.
I mean, MMA has become this sport where you have to be a master of all disciplines. I mean, Garreth, you can't hide anymore, can you? You have to be excellent on your feet. You have to be able to box perfectly, wrestle, your jiu-jitsu, everything. You have to be all round, especially at UFC level.
So the thing is, at that level now, it's like with the new breed that's coming through, these Borrachinos, the Adesanyas, this Gilbert Burns, the young guys who are coming through now that are putting their hands up. These guys are MMA fighters. That's what they've learned. They learn MMA.
They didn't start in one fight. They didn't favor one.
They then go and do jiu-jitsu and boxing and wrestling and all the other things, but they learn MMA.
They train
MMA fighters.
Yeah.
So now the margins are so small. I mean, it's changed as well. Also, the strength and conditioning and power ratios and outputs, and it's all become so scientific in their approach. You now creating highly skilled fighters, and you're matching them with this incredible athletic ability. And there's just, when I tell you this, some of those dudes are scary. Like really, from small weight to heavyweight, there's some dangerous guys there.
Guys, Boyd, in terms of where you are at the moment, I know you.
Jon Jones or Tyson, Boyd. Jon Jones or Tyson.
I was getting there. I mean, Boyd, what did you make of Mike Tyson? I mean, it was unbelievable to see this guy who's half a century old, and he's got the hand speed of someone who's new to the game. It's ridiculous.
He's just got that fire in him, and we all love to see it, and we all want to watch it. And he's an absolutely unbelievable athlete. I think the whole world's talking about him on a daily basis, and yeah, I'd love to see him perform again. Although you don't really want him to do, you don't want him to go backwards from what we know and love.
Justin says he'll fight him for $100 million.
Only because I know that whoever I leave the money to is going to be good. I absolutely will die. You'll have to find the ambulance. But at least my children's children will be saying, for $100.
I would never, even
at 50, I'd absolutely die.
And even at 54, I would never. I wouldn't even allow it to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, guys, we're seeing this crossover stuff. We had Conor and Floyd, and now Jon Jones talking about Tyson. I mean, is this the future? This sort of hybrid stuff? I mean, what do you guys think?
I hope not, man. I hope not, because as much as I'll watch it, and as much as I'll get up in the morning to watch it, because I'm contradicting myself here, I just feel like we touched on it. You don't want to see them fail at the end. Like that man is. I wouldn't wash my hand for a week if I met Tyson. You know what I mean?
But don't you think at the same time you would like to see maybe a Jon Jones in a boxing match and watch him with that specific combat art?
This is the problem that I have, is that yes, I absolutely do. I do, but I don't, because I love Jon Jones and I love Tyson, and somebody's got to lose, and that's horrible. And I want to see him, but I want to see him win, but I don't want to see him beat Jon Jones. You know what I mean? It's like I feel this. I'm conflicted. Imagine Jon Jones.
I really do think that that's the next evolution of fighter. That the next group of young guys coming through will be able to do anything. Will be able to go and wrestle at an Olympic level, or compete in a world champs in jiu-jitsu, or
you're talking about young guys, G.
No.
But you're talking about young guys, bro. We're talking about a 54-year-old legend, household name.
Yeah.
Killer.
Killer, 100% killer. And I'm like, do I want to see him be pipped at the post? Like, it reeks to me of money making, and the man made and lost $300 million twice. So it reeks of like the oak needs the tin, and it kills me, because as much as you prize fighters and as much as you are fighting for money, you should never fight for money. Money should be the byproduct that comes from doing something that you love. Like, you're in the 1% in the world that gets to showcase and live your life and live your skill. I would do anything to have the skill that you guys have. Yeah. But I'm not able to. You guys, and the byproduct that you make it, or may have made, make a living from it. But I'm just like, you shouldn't do it for the tip. The moment you sign a fight for money, it's like, oh, come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
But what have you putting? I mean,
it's just, I still watch it, bro. I'm going to still buy the ticket. That's me.
But I'm saying
I'm a prostitute for it. That's the issue.
Look, Tyson had a very lavish lifestyle. I think, other fighters are a lot wiser with their money. He had a golden Rolls Royce and like 6 properties, and it was stupid. But I mean, Boyd, as someone who's moved now from, MMA or on a hiatus with MMA and is now boxing, how have you found that switch to just one specific combat art? Because I'm sure when you started off, you were looking at a takedown or how you were going to do a leg kick or something in the boxing ring. It's just instinct.
Yeah, look, I think, so I came from amateur boxing before I got involved in MMA, and it was always my strongest point in my martial arts game. I always liked to box and use my hands. And I think going back was kind of the journey I needed to go on, and it's really opened my eyes as to how different both sports are.
And are you happy at the moment? I mean, is it that journey you said, the new chapter? Is it kind of like ticking the boxes for you, or putting that fire under you? You know what I mean? Giving that spark in your belly?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, so I got stuck in a bit of a rut. I wasn't fighting very often here in SA when I was with the UFC, and eventually got back into the boxing ring, and they kept me really active. I've had 6 fights in a year and a half or so, and you know, I'm the fastest athlete or boxer in South Africa to win and defend a title in 4 fights. So I've kind of exceeded my expectations of where I thought I would go and how fast I would get there. And I just need to keep growing and chase a little world title before I look at another return to the cage.
Would you fight again?
No,
MMA.
definitely. Definitely.
I can tell you a little side story about Boyd. You won't know this, but I'll tell it anyway. Like, he is probably the most well-mannered MMA athlete I have ever officiated over. There's no controversy. There's no bullshit. There's no, like, win, lose or draw. There was no, you always kept those around you calm. And it was always a pleasure to deal with you because you were a gentleman. You would shake people's hands. I've never officiated. I only cornered against you, boy. I've never ever officiated of you. Wasn't allowed.
Oh, that's right. Eh?
Too long.
You were on the
against
side of the cage. Yes, you were.
It was 24 seconds. We were enemies for 24 seconds.
Wait, tell us more. Tell us more. You're going to share that story now. Come on.
When you fought Armando Brain, I cornered Armando Brain against you. And I was like, hey, bro, good luck. And you were like, oh, good luck, bro. Like, I hope it goes well for you. And I was like, fuck you. But yeah, go back to Boyd. I mean, he just like, there was, every time he's fought, I mean, when he fought Don Madge and there was a draw, like, everything was cool. Like, he was happy with the outcome. Like, he was cool as a cucumber. And it was just like, it was what it was. No flailing arms and no, the bloody judges, and like, just a gentleman. I don't know what he said behind closed doors, but he's entitled to think whatever he likes. It's not, he didn't voice it. And it was just a pleasure.
Always the same, even backstage, on the mat, everything that he did, he was quiet, he was chill, never got up, there was no emotion, never got emotional about things. I think once I saw Boyd get emotional. I think I've seen him get emotional once, and it was after one of his
emotional? Was it like sad, or was he angry? Because I'd imagine the anger to be quite big.
He had fought and won, and he was just so relieved that it was over. For whatever reason, I don't know why.
That's okay, you're allowed that. But the second point is, we know you wax your eyebrows. We know you tweeze them.
Yeah. I tweeze them, yeah.
Is that microblading?
No, just tweezing. You gotta keep up appearances.
Hey, yeah, boy. Tell them right. Tell them. Listen.
You still do that thing where you pull up your pants when you fight with boxing?
Yeah, I do.
Like when you reset, do you do that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right.
Hey, let's be nice, yeah. You've just complimented the
guy.
He
does. He adjusts the band of his pants.
Okay. Boyd, do you have any?
Something I noticed.
Do you have any rituals or superstitions? I mean,
pulling up his pants.
Apart from that.
Sure. I don't think I've got any rituals or superstitions. Like, I don't wear the same stuff or whatever the case is. I do stay away from certain colors. I don't wear certain colors. But other than that, not really.
What colors don't you wear? Yeah.
Yeah, bro, that's the most superstitious.
Wow.
No, I've lost twice pretty bad when I wore white shorts, so I don't wear white shorts. Shut up,
Don't worry.
One of them in Russia.
Hey, we got to do anything we can to win it.
I lost as well. Quite bad.
I had one in my fight and I lost because of my superstition of doing cardio.
Oh,
wow. It was a 2-round fight, and I took my gum guard and I threw it at Dallas, and I told him, "Get this thing away from me," and then I took my loss.
0-1 Ferrier.
0-1. That's it.
Oh wow, that's your new nickname.
Justin and I fought on as an amateur on the same.
It was
card.
the same card. Our main event. I was the main event.
Yes, and I was the fight before you.
Boy, do you see what I have to deal with there?
I just paved the way for you, bro.
No, it wasn't.
You are because of me.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Justin Ferrier made Garreth Soldier Boy McLennan. Boyd, So how's it been under quarantine and lockdown? I mean, it can't be easy. No gyms are open. I know now slowly you're back at training, but how tough has it been?
Yeah, it's been pretty tough, but it's had its ups and downs, I suppose. It's been quite enjoyable in one way. I've got to focus on myself quite a bit and work on what I've wanted to work on. So it's been really, really cool like that. But obviously, when it comes to training partners, sparring, things like that, it's been quite difficult of late.
And the new gym, how's that going?
So the gyms, everything's been put on hold. We're still doing renovations and getting everything sorted with the tenant installation. So for now, that's on hold up until the point that we're really sure gyms can open up again.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Can I ask you, as part of your training, Boyd?
Yeah.
I know a while ago in the MMA world, there was a move away from hard sparring, and a more move to technical sparring. What have you done? What in your fight camp, will you follow that same thing, or will you still spar quite hard quite often?
So I've been to 1 or 2 different boxing gyms, and the guys usually spar really hard. I quite like it because you can work on things in a real life situation. But where I'm currently with Peter, he really doesn't like sparring hard a lot of the time. We do a lot of technical sparring, and that saves the guys quite a bit of damage. I think a lot of guys tee off on each other in training far too much, and it puts them back a few years.
Agree. You're spending all your miles in the gym as opposed to getting paid for it.
That's why I forget to unmute the
That's why Garreth forgets to. Lots of hard sparring.
Lots of hard sparring.
That's good, eh? So you with the Smiths now, eh?
Yes, I'm with
Is
Peter
there still
Smith,
an affiliation? Is there still an affiliation to Rich?
Yeah, so Rich is my MMA head coach. We are obviously good friends, and we still work together now and then. But yeah, I think, and he actually told me, he said, "Boy, if you're gonna go and join a gym and commit to Peter, then make sure you do that. Listen to him, trust him 100%, and that's the only way you're gonna have a coach in your corner that can understand you as an athlete." So I've given myself to him, and I've decided that I need to learn and listen and trust in his process. And yeah, so far it's been working.
Boydie, so awesome. What's next? Where to next? What's the discussions on the table in terms of fights, future title fights, and so forth?
So I've been pretty lucky with that because of my really quick title run and my title defense. They gave me an international in my 5th fight. I won the semi-final in the Super 4 in my 6th fight, and my 7th fight is now the semi-final, and that's a rematch against the guy that I fought in the title defense in my 4th fight, Brandon Tace. Thereafter, probably looking at an international fight either in the States or Norway.
Okay. Nice.
Would you move to would you be based in the States, or are you happy here in South Africa? I know obviously you have business interests, you have family here, but would you ever base yourself overseas? I mean, like Gareth's trained all over the world. Would you follow that same route if internationals called, in terms of your fights?
Sure. I think if I had to, maybe, but we have really good coaches in this country, and we have really good athletes and a strong mindset. And like you said, we've been around a bit. Gareth's travelled, I've travelled a bit, and it's not always green on the other side. So I think I'd stay here in SA and fight out of SA if I could.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the draw to Norway?
I think that's
how
just
big
where,
is the boxing scene there? Is there like a champ there or something?
So I think that's where Kevin Lerino will have his RBO title fight. Quite a big fight. Rowan Campbell will be defending a title, and I'm hoping to be on the same card.
Oh, that's exciting. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Boyd, looking at, with all due respect to MMA organizations and the way EFC has gone about things, they've obviously been trying to get back into action. But as someone who's now stepped out of the MMA scene for a bit and looking back in, do you think it's still in a good space? Do you think we're still seeing, talented guys coming through the ranks, guys that are like Dricus, Temba, that are destined for the UFC? What's your take on the local scene at the moment?
Yeah, I think the local scene's battling at the moment. Lockdown obviously hasn't made it any easier, but the guys that you mentioned, guys like Timber, guys like Drickus, they've been around for a while, and they fought some really top competitors. So their next step is to a bigger promotion. There's nothing left for them locally unless EFC decide to step it up a level and start bringing in internationals for guys like that to fight.
Yeah, I mean, we had Drickus on the show, and he's pretty determined that the UFC is his next step. I mean, Garreth and Justin, I mean, your thoughts on when we had Graham Cartmel on the show a little while ago? I mean, gyms are being hit hard by this whole COVID thing, and the EFC is trying its best. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is we need the EFC to continue to be successful, because what else is there for MMA athletes to aspire to? You know what I mean?
Look, I think the conversation we had with Graham was great, because I think there was a much better understanding of where they're at and what their plans are going forward and what do they see next. I think we're very lucky that we have the potential to find fighters on our doorsteps quite easily. Again, it's just the investment into those guys, the investment into those fighters, nurturing them, growing them, getting them to a level that we can push them into the international circuit. Look, I think UFC is done exceptionally well. They've lasted this long. They've been in a tough fight, but they've managed to year in, year out continue. And I hope as a community we can all come together and support them, and we can then create the next batch of top class fighters. Because I really think, as South Africans, just in nature and their physicality and their mindset and their determination, we can put out some world champions, definitely.
Yeah. Justin, I mean, obviously, you're a lot closer to the EFC events. Your thoughts just in the way things are happening at the moment, the way gyms can potentially look at themselves and go, well, maybe we should hit the reset button here.
Yeah, things are changing. I think you're going to see a lot of gym closures and a lot of gyms, people going to certain coaches, which is a challenge because the rivalry might lessen. So two gyms might amalgamate that would have fought each other, but those fighters have got to go somewhere. So that is a challenge, but I don't know. UFC, obviously they want to fight. They need footage to sell. The challenges I see is it's going to be a knock-on effect from there being no amateurs at the moment, because everyone starts at amateur, then they build their way up. Yes, we have a lot of talent. I just worry about the gap, because we're losing time. We're going to lose a year. I mean, from the time we're really back in it, and that's something that, like, obviously I've got a big passion for the development of the sport. And I had a chat with my committee here, and I just said, as soon as because fight nights are going to be over, the small promoters are not going to be able to sell tickets. And if they can't sell tickets, they can't put on shows, even with free stock. So what I think's going to happen is that we, as individual provinces, have to put on, call it gym fights. Obviously completely sanctioned and safe, etc. But if you only allowed 50 people in the room, do it so that it's, charge $50 a fighter for them to compete, to cover the cleaning costs, to cover the sanctioning fee, that type of thing, to keep the momentum going. Because that is a worry for me, because if you just stop everything and then you're only feeding the professionals that are in UFC, they're going to get bored of the same people watching the same people fight. That's a big problem. And then when it is a huge platform for them to move on to international promotions. And then what happens? You've got this 2-year gap where there's nobody coming through, or you're going to have to blood fighters that are way too green to fight. You're going to have low levels of fighting, people getting hurt, and these are concerns that go through my head on a daily basis. I'll fix it though. I'll find a way.
No,
it's just.
We'll trust you to
I've
fix
got to
it.
do these. I think we've got to do these little, almost like, not underground fights by any means, but gym fights that are sanctioned without spectators, to keep the momentum going. And that's my opinion for the transition to keep the level up for guys to travel through to professional.
All right, gents, we are going to run out of time, so let's quickly touch on the fight night that's happening. It's the last one at the Apex in Las Vegas for the time being before we hit to Fight Island. Now, just looking at the Dustin Poirier Dan Hooker fight. I mean, Boyd, your thoughts there before we get to the very excited Garreth McClellan?
That's going to be a fight. I think stylistically, they're both great strikers. Poirier's got really, really good hands. I've seen him box. I trained at American Top Team where he was training, and I think he's a great athlete with a really strong mindset. But Dan Hooker's also got this special ability, and he can pull a surprise up out of nowhere. They're both really experienced. I mean, I think Poirier's had over 30 fights, and Dan Hooker's close to 30 fights.
Yeah, look, I must agree with Boyd. They're both exceptionally talented strikers. Can make anything happen off a dime. I think if you look at Dustin, he's a little bit more of they've both got a boxing style to themselves. Poirier he relies a little bit more on the power punching aspect, where Dan Hooker's a lot like Boyd Allen. The same sort of fighting style, good crisp hands, good jab. Very smart with his combinations, puts his combinations together exceptionally well. And then he's just got these sneaky kicks that come off the back of them, you know.
I learned from you, Gareth. I caught one or two. You see the scores.
Yeah, I'm the guy. I just try and punch heads off. I don't my game.
How nice of you.
But just look. I mean, if I had to think of another fighter like him, I would say that him and Boyd are very similar in the way that they approach. They break them down with just good, accurate punching, and that kind of creates a frustration, which makes them cause a mistake, and then he picks them off. Really good submissions, good off his back. Nice. He's got good wrestling. The New Zealand boys are really, really putting their hands up in terms of their ability. He's from the Adesanya Volkanovski camp. They've got an that New Zealand kickboxing academy it's really top class. I was there when I trained in New Zealand. So Dan Hooker will come in very prepared. Dustin Poirier the same, good mindset. I think we're in for a really good barn burner. I think that these two boys are going to punch each other's faces in.
Yeah.
I think it's a cracker fight. I just think that what is going to boil down, obviously I'll never discount Hangman Hooker, but I must think, yes, they have similar records. I just think Dustin spent more time in the sun. So I think he probably will top it because he's been fighting at a higher level. And that's what I think will give him the edge over it.
All right. Well, gentlemen,
I think Dustin to win.
All right. There you have it. Thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate your time. We're out of time. Boyd Allen, all the best for that fight coming up in August.
Likewise.
And keep up the good work. And as you said, one day we might see you back in the UFC or in a MMA organization. Who knows? It'll be good to see you again. But all the best, Justin and Garreth. Thank you very much, gents. And we'll catch up again next time on MMA Uncaged. Thanks very much.
Let's go. Come on. This forever. No surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever. And there will be no surrender. Now allow me to reintroduce myself. They call me J.O.N. to the easy E-N. Know that we undefeated. Y'all are beneath them speeches trying to air a grievance. But his lines are overhead. Better check the air for clearance. Call the tower. This is ours. Clear the heat. The air apparent. Really, I've never been better. Legacy, this is forever. All the more times I've been severed. I'm raising the bar. You can go ahead and measure. Think about time for a toast. Time that we welcome to go. Yo, we're just leaving it no. This right here forever.